Hey there, welcome to No Recipe Required. I'm Dave. Tonight I'm going to cook a classic for you, an Italian classic, chicken piccata. It's a dish that probably most of us have had, certainly in restaurants. It's pretty easy to make at home. There's really just a few ingredients. We're going to take some chicken breasts, pound them out, then really make a sauce out of some butter, some lemon, and a few capers. We'll see how it's done. I'll show you the keys. Let's go ahead and get to it. Our first step for our chicken piccata is actually to take and pound out a chicken breast, or several chicken breasts if you're making several chicken breasts. What I want, I'm not interested in spreading it out too much to like stuff it or anything like that, but I do want to just get it consistently thick throughout. Typically the breasts like this have a thick side and a thin side. This one's pretty flat already, so it's not going to take too much effort here. But what I've got my chicken breast thawed out, a little plastic wrap. I just put it right in the middle there. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of water just to moisten the plastic wrap and make it a little less sticky, so that it slides a little bit as we pound it out. And then you can use a hammer like this to pound out your chicken, or I generally prefer actually using a wine bottle. This is one that I drank the wine. And I just filled it with water for the weight, and this is what I like to use. I find it really the best tool around. When you're pounding out like this, you want to kind of start in the center of the breast and just work towards the outside, and eventually just kind of tapping it, not too hard, and eventually you get to the point where it's a nice even thickness, which is exactly what we're looking for. You can do this ahead of time. Once you pound it out, throw it back in the fridge, and pull it out once we're ready to start cooking. Okay, so we have our chicken here for our chicken piccata. Now we're going to do a couple things. First, we're going to season the chicken. So we're going to bread this with a little bit of flour, coat it with a little bit of flour, but that doesn't mean we don't season it with salt and pepper like we always do. Go ahead and season, make sure we get both sides of our chicken. And then we're going to go ahead and coat it in a layer of flour. Now, the flour does a couple things. One, it gives the chicken a nice little coating. This is my flour here. I just like to spread it out on a plate like this. It gives the chicken a coating and a little bit of crust while we cook it. But to be honest, it also kind of falls off the chicken as we cook it in the pan, and that flour, just like it does in a roux, it'll help thicken our sauce a little bit. So really this is all we have to do is go on one side, make sure we get all the pieces or all the parts coated in a nice thin layer, lift it up and dust it, and then I'm going to go ahead and just put it on a dry plate. We do it again with the other chicken or other pieces of chicken, and this coating is really simple to do. I'm going to go ahead and finish off the breasts, and then we'll move over, fry them up in our frying pan. We've got our chicken breasts coated with flour now. What I'm going to go ahead and do is add to a hot pan a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of butter. Now this sauce, or the chicken piccata, has a fair amount of butter in it. I don't want to just use butter though, or it might burn on me. So I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil like that, or about equal parts olive oil, to make sure it doesn't burn. And then my chicken breast coated in flour, I'm going to lay in there, and I'm going to sear both sides. First side down, just like almost all my meats here. I'm going to go ahead, lay it in there. I'm going to leave it alone to get that nice caramelized crust, or it won't, nice brown crust on one side. I'm going to pay attention to the sides of that chicken, and once I see it finished, or once I see it turning white, kind of halfway through, it'll be time to flip it over. I can see now my chicken, like I said, around the edges is starting to turn white and kind of fully cooked. Obviously the center is not cooked yet, so we'll go ahead and check it, and I see I've got that nice golden brown color. So we'll flip the chicken and let it cook on the other side. Now these are fairly thin, so they're probably only going to take another minute on this side. Total cooking time maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Once they're done, I'm going to pull them out, put them on a plate while we make our sauce. Okay, it's been about a minute, maybe a minute and a half, and I can tell just by the feel, chicken's done. I've also, been watching the clock, and it's been enough time to get it fully cooked. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these out of the pan, put them on a holding tray, and I'm going to set this, in a nice warm spot, maybe top of the stove, and we'll go ahead and make our sauce. I just pulled out the chicken breast, and there's not, there's still a little bit of oil left in the pan, but I just added a touch more, as well as a touch more butter. Ooh, let's get it in there. And you want to leave those, the nice little brown spots in the pan. That's going to be great flavor for us. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a diced shallot and a diced garlic clove. I've turned the heat all the way down because I don't want to burn my garlic. And I'm just going to let these soften for the next 2 to 3 minutes in the pan. Once we come back, we'll deglaze with the rest of our ingredients. Okay, our shallots and garlic have softened up. I kept it on low to make sure I didn't burn them, but I'm turned it up now, and I'm going to go ahead and add the juice of a full lemon. You want to try and make sure that you get as many of those pits out as you can. I left a couple in there. Not a big deal though, you can just fish them out, or frankly, if you're cooking for yourself, go ahead and leave them in. Let's go ahead and get the rest of that lemon in there. And I'm going to let this lemon reduce down to where it becomes a little bit thicker, probably reduced by half. And then we'll go ahead and add some stock and the remaining ingredients. My lemon is reduced now to where you can see it's a nice, thick consistency, at least by half. And I'm going to go ahead and add about a 1/4 cup of chicken stock, or beef stock if you've got it. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing. Let this reduce down, along with 2 tablespoons of capers, which is a traditional ingredient in this veal piccata. And the capers lends a beautiful saltiness, kind of a briny texture to the or briny taste to the sauce. I'm going to let this reduce, and then we'll finish our sauce, add our chicken, and finish the dish. My stock now has reduced. I've got a nice sauce consistency here. I want to go ahead and give it a taste. Now I find this a little bit too lemony for me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little salt. That'll take away some of that bitterness. I'm also going to add just a touch of sugar, which will also counteract some of that sourness. Now, what we're going to do to finish our sauce is add probably 2 tablespoons of nice cold butter. I'm going to break it up and add that directly to the sauce. The heat now is on low. The butter will also soften up some of that bitterness as well. I'm going to stir that in, and then I'm also going to add back my chicken that I've been keeping warm on a side plate. And the chicken's just going to reheat in that sauce. Once the butter's melted and everything's back up to temperature, we'll go ahead and plate it up. My chicken's come back up to temperature, so I'm going to go ahead, put it back on my plate here, and finish off our sauce with just a little bit of chopped parsley. And then we'll go ahead, lay this right on the sauce, bring it to the table, and serve. Okay, so I've got my sauce here, I've got my chicken on the plate. We're going to go ahead and just pour that directly over, right down the middle. And we've got our finished chicken piccata. I'll see you next time on No Recipe Required.